You are aware that our party, the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Edo State, very successfully concluded all our ward, local government and state congresses, to elect officers for the party, in the next 4 years. I want to place on record our appreciation of the media for your massive and unbiased coverage of all the congresses. Let me specifically thank our social media influencers for the excellent work they do for the party. That said, we ask you to be with us today because you are all witnesses to the collapse of governance in our state, 1 year after the PDP-led government of Mr. Godwin Obaseki assumed office, for a second term of 4 years. Edo State today is not a democracy. What we have in Benin City is a dictatorship with Mr. Godwin Obaseki as the government. He has emasculated the judiciary, crippled the legislature and personalized the executive branch. He is the sole administrator of Edo State. His word is law. He is the lawmaker, the judge and the prison put together. Mr. Obaseki's flagrant abuse of power is not provided for anywhere in the 1999 Constitution as amended. Meanwhile, this Constitution, which our country, Nigeria is still operating, remains the ground norm. So, we wonder where Mr. Obaseki is deriving his powers from, as there is no section, in the Constitution either, for a maximum ruler or sole administrator as we presently have in Edo. For almost 1 year, local government administration in Edo State has been thrown into a coma, with the governor's decision not to conduct elections for chairmen and councillors. For a governor who daily interfered with the state's local government council's statutory allocations, is it not self-indictment to say that unless he is able to clear the N60 billion debt they owe, he cannot conduct LG elections? Edo is the only state in Nigeria today without a functional legislature. What is happening with the 10 PDP jokers who gather regularly at Governor Obaseki's office is comical. They gather to read sheets of papers, pretending to be making laws as Edo State House Assembly. We all know the true story. What Obaseki is practicing in Edo today is a democratic taboo. And when a taboo is allowed to exist for too long, it becomes a tradition. If this taboo is allowed to be exported to other states, using Obaseki as a reference, it will endanger our democratic culture. Edo is in a serious trouble. We therefore call on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as a matter of urgent national importance, to declare a state of emergency in Edo so that we can truly have a proper sole administrator. 6. As we speak right now, Mr. Obaseki is demolishing the Central Hospital, Benin City, with a view to replacing it with a motor park. The government says it has no plans for such demolition 2 months ago, October, but if you go to Sapele Road by the hospital this minute, you will see what I am talking about. We know the demolition is imminent and we call on Mr. Obaseki to stop or be ready for the consequences. There are several other reasons why a state of emergency has become inevitable in our beloved state. Right now, Governor Obaseki can no longer secure lives and properties of Edo citizens, contrary to his oath of office. Has mortgaged the future of Edo State with a penchant for clandestine borrowing of billions of naira at home and abroad. Has no regard for rule of law and completely disregards all court orders except those in his favor. There are more reasons. You will all agree that the situation Edo State has found itself today is one where a single individual, Mr. Obaseki, though democratically elected, has turned himself into a maximum ruler, and has arrogated to himself the powers of the three arms of government. You will all agree that the situation Edo State has found itself today is one where a single individual, Mr. Obaseki, though democratically elected, has turned himself into a maximum ruler, and has arrogated to himself the powers of the three arms of government. Many people in Edo State are worried with the approach of Mr. Obaseki to the lingering slide of governance and brutal abuse of the Constitution. It is in the light of the precarious situation Edo State has found itself under Governor Obaseki, which is almost akin to anarchy, that the All Progressives Congress, APC, is calling on the federal government to declare a state of emergency in Edo. Our call is predicated on the fact that Mr. Obaseki would rather prefer to be a sole administrator of Edo State rather than a democratically elected governor. With a state of emergency, his present disposition towards governance will be legitimized. He would not need a legislature, cabinet, or even local government chairman to function. Insecurity. First, let me tell you that as governor, Mr. Obaseki, who claimed he spent N2 billion on a security trust fund few months ago, has so far been unable to protect the lives of Edo people, with daily cases of kidnappings and killings on the Benin-Ewa Auchi Road. Fear and insecurity have become the order of the day in Edo, yet he gets an 800 million monthly as security vote. For such an amount, he is still unable to mobilize security agencies in the state to fight criminality. Even the volunteer local neighborhood watch or state vigilante corps are not left out. In all cases, they are totally disenchanted, being poorly mobilized. Loans. Mr. Abeski has perfected the act of taking clandestine loans from every available source without any plan to repay them and thereby mortgaging the future of the state. So soon after he took a N25 billion loan recently to finance the 2021 budget from the capital market, he went for another N18 billion loan from the Central Bank of Nigeria. The state's indebtedness has just elevated it to the second most indebted state in the country. Edo state government under Mr. Abeski now specializes in giving vague and nebulous rationale when taking these loans. Yet there are critical sectors of the local economy into which these loans ought to be channeled. That Edo people are tired of the many white elephant projects which Mr. Abeski have adopted as a conduit pipe to drain public funds is a cause for concern. Without a legislature, Edo people are in the dark about what are loans being collected for. There is no due process, and unborn Edo children are assured of spending eternity repaying these loans. Rule of law. Edo State has a governor who does not have one iota of respect for the judicial arm of government, although he regularly runs to the courts on the most frivolous of excuses. He chooses which orders to obey and disregards the rest even when they are in the overall interest of Edo people. Mr. Abeski paid deaf ears to several court orders restoring elected local government council chairmen who he violently removed from their offices. Individual homes, private properties are being demolished, and kofo of prominent Edo indigenes perceived as political adversaries are being revoked. Collapse of governance. As you are aware, Governor Abeski spent all the days of first year of his second term in office playing politics and neglecting governance. Till date he has not been able to appoint a full cabinet. Today he is ignorant of the fact that no single traffic light is functional anywhere in the state. No street light anywhere. The King Square, Ring Road, that used to be a relaxation center for youths on weekends with a water fountain is now a natural habitat for rodents and reptiles. Mr. Abeski and his PDP administration has taken Edo back to the 18th century. Where did we get it wrong? Here is a governor whose stock in trade, 5 years in office, is either signing or entering into MOs, partnerships and agreements with individuals and organizations, foreign and local. It is a government of Mo, by Mo and for Mo. For a man leaving office in 3 years, Mr. Abeski recently proposed a 30-year development plan for the state. Yet by 2050, many would have forgotten if he was ever a governor in Benin City. His Mo yielded the stillborn Benin Industrial Park that he brought the vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, to commission 5 years ago. With a spurious claim of securing a $200 million investment for the park, today it is a haven of wild animals. The only sign of the park is the giant dilapidating billboard announcing the governor's short-sightedness. There is no single industry on location, and there is no sign that any will come soon to this scam of a multi-billion naira monument by the Abeski-led PDP government. What of the Jelajel Seaport? The hue and cry and the media hype that greeted the Mo the governor entered into with the Chinese, Singaporean and Indian interests on TV and the social media, and his resort to frequent monitoring of virtual vessels coming to berth at the non-existent port has since died down. Need I mention that the Ikanwan Road, which the governor said he was dualizing because of expected boost in vehicular traffic from the seaport to the city center, has in itself become an abandoned project. The Benin Technical College cost Edo taxpayers billions of naira to renovate. It is only the governor who knows when the college will be ready to take its first set of students. The Benin Technical College cost Edo taxpayers billions of naira to renovate. It is only the governor who knows when the college will be ready to take its first set of students. 17a. Or is it the government's EDIBIST program, which is at best a smokescreen to cover up the failure of the government's educational policy? There are no teachers in public schools across the state. There is no school with full complement of teachers. At best, you see one principal with 2 teachers for a school of 200 pupils. Yet Mr. Abeski's boasts about spending billions by the grace of the World Bank to give mobile devices to teachers to teach. Many communities employ teachers all the state. The only public library in Edo State where children of ordinary Edo men, women go to read to develop themselves has been demolished, and the land sold to Abeski's cronies to build a supermarket. There are no workers